Good morning. Today we'd like to discuss how to leverage home and school connections in English language instruction. Students come to us with social emotional needs, their own cultural influences, and their own cultural understanding of their home language and culture, whether that be English or another language. So to support these students, we want to find ways to incorporate students' experiences and culture into our lessons and discussions. We want to help students feel secure that their prior experience has relevance in their foundational learning. It is not only English language or American culture and experience that will be advantageous to them in their career as a student. Students need support in learning how to communicate emotions in a new language and culture. Students who are able to express their emotional needs will be in a better mindset to learn. We can provide picture clues, feeling charts, word walls, etc., to help students make connections from the way that they feel to how to express that in English. We can use literary examples for students to identify emotions in characters and stories, to interact with these stories by comparing their feelings with the feelings of those in the story. How would you feel if you were in this situation? How did this character feel when this happened? Let them practice using those words from the story to begin to make connections and identify their emotions in English. Now, how do we use intentional strategies for families and community engagement? We want to bring in those home supports. The students' parents are our first information, our first really line of defense for these students. They know their children the best. We can leverage what they know to help us help their student better when they're in the classroom. Some ideas for how to do this would be to host family literacy nights. Encourage families to bring a book from their culture in their language to read aloud at this special event. Host culture days. Family members can take turns visiting the class and talking about culture and language, share a dish, artisan products, clothing, etc. from their own culture. Also, having these parents or other people on the staff that might speak these languages or be familiar with these cultures to form a consult team that we can access to say, hey, how can we better serve this student? How can we help this student make connections? We're not expected to know it all. We can use the tools around us and the people around us to help inform our practice. Another important tool that we want to establish is to have some volunteer translators. They might be on staff, they might be parents who are bilingual, other family members. We might have even some relatives within the school who can come to parent-teacher conferences, who could come into the classroom and translate directions as needed, especially in the beginning of the year. So using those people in the community and establishing some open events and special times where we're actually planning and making a purposeful time for those people to be in the classroom with us. We also want to make sure that our classroom environment is expressing the multicultural support that we're wanting to build in our classroom community culture. So we could take pictures of our students and make a cool bulletin board with them. Let them see themselves in the classroom. Have the students take turns making cultural displays from their own cultures. Plan culturally focused projects that allow students to identify with their cultural influences. Make the word wall bilingual, use visuals, etc. And accept accept their own language as a part of their expression in the classroom. There could be appropriate times to allow for written or spoken answers in a first language. Just making sure that the students know when it is appropriate to respond in a language other than English will be important, but we want to make sure that these students realize that their own language, their own first language, that we value that we respect that, and that still needs to have an active role in their life as learners. Now, our family and community can continue to influence language learning in so many ways. We want to give family and community members a role in the classroom and have that be a way to show our inclusivity and participation. We want those families to begin to take ownership and responsibility for cultural instruction of their own children. And as we welcome them to educate our children, they will also be educating us and helping to build our toolbox for the future for how to make these connections for our ELL students to connect their new learning to their past experience, to combine them and just make their experience so much richer.